Minister, thank you for coming to the House to take my debate. I know it's not in your remit, and I assume you're coming in the absence of the Minister, so I thank you for that. Minister, I tabled this debate today at the request of a family who are extremely concerned for their son, who requires spinal deformity surgery and is awaiting a call from Crumlin Hospital for same. This young teenager has been attending Crumlin Hospital for some time now, so I will just outline a brief history of his situation. He suffers from scoliosis and was advised by his consultant that he requires surgery. He was placed on a list for surgery and was advised that he would be called for same in the summer of 2013. His parents heard nothing, so that surgery never took place. They rang up and were given a follow-up consultation where they were advised that he would be called for surgery while still in 6th class, but definitely before he went into 1st class in secondary school. He received an appointment for June 2014, and his parents are very concerned that the older he gets, the harder it will be to rectify the problem, and they were absolutely delighted that he was going to eventually have the surgery. But lo and behold, just 1 week before the surgery, they received a letter from Crumlin Hospital cancelling the appointment. Subsequently, they received a telephone call from the hospital telling them that it was because they didn't keep the appointment and were now being put back on a list, and that he would have to wait until January 2015. But at the moment, they are still awaiting a date for the surgery. His mother advised me that they have had several appointments cancelled by Crumlin, always at very short notice, and they feel this is grossly unfair. But just to give you a little history of the family, Minister, I think it's important for people to know. This family had a lot of personal tragedy in their lives. They previously lost their young son to cancer. He was buried the day before his 13th birthday. So you can understand the worry and the concern that these parents have for the well-being of their children, and in particular this young boy. You know, during the time that their other son battled with cancer, the family were out of their home for literally 6 months. During that period, the children had to be moved out of their regular school and moved to another school for convenience. So there's been an awful lot of upheaval in this family's life, and they are stressed and worried now about this son. And as you will see from the title of my debate, I also pointed out, having contacted Crumlin Hospital myself to see what the situation was, I was kind of more or less abruptly told there are 200 children waiting on the list for spinal deformity surgery, and that there was inadequate services. And I appreciate that not you, but the Minister for Health and his predecessor had very little money or no money when they came in to target these areas and these waiting lists. But as the economy recovers, I do feel it's important that these children should be helped, and that the waiting list for spinal deformity and other surgeries for children should be targeted, and extra funding put towards those issues. So I'll await your reply, Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach, and I thank Senator Moloney for raising this issue. You might just want to check what I say against delivery. You'll have the scripts in front of you before long. I just want to state, first of all, that the Senator outlines what is an extremely difficult case, and is, compounded further by, the other tragedy that the family has faced. And what seems to me to be the case is the manner in which the family has been dealt with from an administrative point of view, in terms of raising expectations and then to have those expectations quashed, is something that of itself needs to be dealt with from a HSE perspective. I am taking the issue on behalf of Minister Varadkar, and I've been provided with the following. Scoliosis in children and young people is predominantly managed at Our Lady's Children's Hospital, Crumlin. It is acknowledged that waiting times for scoliosis services are unsatisfactory. Demand has been increasing, with resulting pressure on capacity. In 2014, the hospital had an agreed capacity to carry out 58 full spinal cases per year as part of its annual service level agreement with the HSE, in addition to children requiring repeat procedures and rod lengthening. At the end of last month, 174 patients were waiting for surgery, while 46 surgeries had been undertaken. In order to increase capacity, the Minister has asked me to say that funding was allocated in the HSE service plan for 2015 for the appointment of an orthopaedic surgeon, anaesthetist and support staff at Crumlin. This will maximise the use of available theatre sessions in the hospital. Recruitment is underway for these posts. This is expected to allow for an additional 25 cases to take place in Crumlin in 2015. Despite this additional capacity in 2015, the number of surgeries at Crumlin will still fall short of what is required to deal with demand. The HSE, the Children's Hospital Group and Crumlin Hospital are working together on an ongoing basis to identify all options to increase capacity further. In the short term, this includes utilising capacity in other hospitals where clinically appropriate. In the medium term, additional laminar flow theatre capacity will be developed at Crumlin itself. Following an appraisal of options for increased theatre capacity, the HSE has recently allocated funding for this development. I don't want to speak to the appropriateness that normally applies in speaking to specific cases, but I do want to emphasise on behalf of Minister Varadkar our determination to address undue waiting times for all those requiring scoliosis services, and he states that he is confident that the increased investment which I have outlined today in the House will deliver significant improvements in scoliosis service capacity. But I just want to conclude by saying that this is a very particular case, and I don't want to give platitudes to the family by saying that we sympathise and empathise with the family. It seems to me that there are particular instances here in the manner in which the family has been dealt with in relation to that expectation that has been built up that I have outlined earlier. And I think that's something perhaps that an intervention directly with the Minister might seek to shed further light on, in terms of the young man in question.
Thank you, Alaska Hillock, and thank you, Minister. I'm delighted with the extra funding and the resources that has been put into Crumlin, without a shadow of a doubt, and I commend the Minister for that and the HSE for that. But the reason I brought this here is that we cannot seem to get answers from anyone why the surgery was continuously cancelled time after time after time. Nobody is answerable. That's the problem with the HSE. Nobody is answerable. And I assume that the Minister surely could get an answer out of the HSE, because I certainly can't, and neither can the parents. And all I wanted was some little bit of a reassurance for the parents that this surgery will go ahead without further delay. They have been put on the long, and in fairness, for the want of better words, they have been messed about. And I know that there are other children out there who are probably as bad, if not worse, and also need the surgery. But this is the family that I've been dealing with, and they are stressed and, upset and feel that their son is being neglected, and they need to do something about it. Their way of doing something about it was contacting me and me contacting the Minister, but it hasn't really moved any further. Now, I'm just asking the Minister if it's possible that if I contact the Minister's office directly. I never intended at any stage that the boy's name would be on the records of the House or anything like that, so nobody would need to be aware of what the individual case was, and his name has not appeared anywhere. But I really do feel the parents need something from somebody to tell them what's happening, and I assume the Minister will be in a position to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Minister. Do you have anything to add if you want to?
Well, what I would add is that, as a member of the Oireachtas, the facility to make an approach directly to the Minister, the line minister responsible, would exist, but I absolutely and utterly empathise with the fact that, this young man is a teenager, and in fairness to the Senator, she, has protected his anonymity, but having said that, I think the case needs to be highlighted directly with the Minister or a line minister in that department, on the basis that, as the case has been stated, several appointments have been cancelled. And so the expectation has been raised on behalf of this young man's family and for him himself. And I think that's something that definitely does need to be addressed, and I would acknowledge that and take responsibility as a government minister with the fact that, his individual circumstances do need to be looked at.
Hopefully, as a result of Senator Moloney's strong case, that there'll be a little light shed on it. Thank you. There's